Welcome back to the second ever edition of Movie Reviews. I'm going to review a movie every week. This ought to be fun. I love reviewing movies. This week, we're going to talk about True Romance. Next week, it's either going to be The Crow or Snatch. Both really good movies, but we're talking about True Romance this week. It is a love story in sorts, but not your typical love story. That's one of the things that bothers me about love stories and romantic comedies. They have a set pattern. It is guy meets girl, guy messes up, they get back together in the end. I started to look at this, and I know who to blame. It's William Shakespeare. Romeo and Juliet, it's about the same thing. Guy meets girl, something keeps them apart that they have to get over, and then at the end they end up together. It's tragic that they both die, but they still at the end. So I blame that for the outline of all romantic comedies to follow. But that being said, this one is about a guy who falls in love. He's played by Christian Slater. His name is Clarence. He falls in love with a prostitute, a call girl. She's played by Patricia Arquette. Her name is Alabama. I love that name. So, the movie starts off in Detroit. It's winter. It is his birthday. He's going to Kung Fu. He watched Kung Fu movies on his birthday. He is absolutely in love with Elvis. So his boss set him up with a call girl to meet him at the movie theaters. They go to eat pie. They kick it off. They go to the comic book store. While he's there, like, this is one of the things I like. Patricia Arquette is really good at. The emotion that like you can really believe. Like, halfway through, he's telling her about a comic book, and last night I was paying attention to her and her reaction, and you could tell, like, the moments that she's actually falling for him, the way she's looking at him, and he's just, going over this comic book. They end up having sex. He wakes up. She's on the balcony crying. She confesses what's going on. She also confesses that, hey, I fell in love with you. I've only been a call girl for 4 days. You're my third customer. He says, if I throw caution to the wind and I tell you I love you, if this messes up, my heart's going to break. So they end up getting together and they end up getting married. They're getting matching tattoos. He asks her what a Drexel is, which is really weird because it's played by Gary Oldman. If you know who that is, it's just it looks completely different as this white dude trying to be black. Like, this character's freaking, I love this character. She tells him who she, during this, it goes to a cutscene. Drexel and his right-hand man, they're having a drug deal. The drug deal starts open up. They're talking about eating pussy. It's fucking hilarious. Samuel L. Jackson's character is a minor character, but he's like, yeah, I eat the pussy, I eat the ass, I eat every motherfucking thing. So they're having this thing, and then Drexel ends up shooting them, kills them both. Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson dies in like the first 20 minutes of this movie. They end up with a cocaine, and then later that day, after the tattoos and they're back at home, he can't let this sit. He can't let this Drexel dude, like, and I can relate. I hate guys who put their hands on women, who think that they can bring women down. It's just, it irritates me. So this is when we meet Elvis for the first time. He's more of a mentor type, and that kind of sparked something in me while I'm watching it last night, because I talked to my conscience. So his Elvis is his conscience, and he tells him who's played by Val Kilmer, by the way. Really good. Never shows his face. Does very good voice work. And the mannerisms you can see in his body, they're really good. So he tells him to kill him. He tells him that cops aren't going to care if, a pimp is dead. So he goes over to get Alabama's things. They end up having this back and forth intelligent conversation about being afraid, and how he's not afraid, he just doesn't like him. Gives him an envelope, it's empty. He says, that's my peace of mind. They get into a fight, And my father quoted this line for years after. So Drax was on top of him, whipping his ass, and he's talking to his guy, and he's like, "It's not White Boy Day, is it?" Like that whole thing. Oh, but he ends up getting the upper hand. He shoots him right in the crotch, and then he shoots him a couple times in the face. He ends up leaving with a suitcase. He gets back. He opens his suitcase. They end up with the cocaine. But he has a friend who lives in California, who's an actor, so maybe they can sell it. That's the whole thing. So they go down to California. One of the coolest things about this is his roommate is Brad Pitt, and he plays a stoner. Like, and it's freaking is hilarious. While this is going on, while they're going to California, before then they end up going to Dennis Hopper. That's who plays his dad. And of course, he's driving a purple Cadillac. Clarence is. But after they find out if anybody's looking for him or anything, because his dad is ex-cop, Christopher Walken shows up. His character is a Sicilian mobster. They're having a back and forth. Because he could tell that he could tell that Dennis Hopper's character was lying, and he tells him, "I'm Sicilian. Sicilians are the greatest liars in the world. You might as well just tell me the truth and knock it off." So Dennis Hopper goes into this thing about how Sicilians were wops from the north. They had blonde hair and blue eyes, but the Moors conquered Sicily. It is also, fun fact, it's also why the Sicilian mob was made in the first place, to protect Sicily. It was a protection thing at first. It's not that way anymore. So he tells him that. He says some unpleasant words I'm not going to repeat. But, so Christopher Walken's, he's laughing, he's smiling, you know what's coming. He shoots him in the head. He says, "I haven't killed anybody since 1984. Then they find out they went to California. So they're in California. They're doing negotiations on a roller coaster with a middle guy. They end up going to his boss being Lee Donowitz, huge movie producer. They're selling this load of cocaine for $200,000. It's worth like $500,000. Or I think it's worth like actually $1 million. So he goes out to get burgers. One of the henchmen, the guy who plays, I'm a horrible names, the guy who plays on The Sopranos, he ends up at the hotel room. He beats the crap out of her. Like, it's one of the hardest things to watch. For me to watch is a woman getting raped or beat like that in cinema, even though it's fake, is still really tough. But she ends up with the upper hand. She ends up killing him. They go to the meeting to sell the drugs. The cops end up there because during this, the stupid idiot ended up with a sample bag, and he ended up, he was driving and getting a blowjob at the same time. The cops pull him over for speeding. He's trying to tell her to put it in her bra. He calls her by the wrong name, and she ends up smacking the bag, and it goes all over his face. So they got him. And then they get him to flip. So during this meeting, the cops show up, and the Sicilian mob shows up. Clarence is in the bathroom. A whole big gunfight breaks out. Clarence walks out. One of the cops shoots him in the face, right in the eye. At the end of all this, his best friend ends up getting out. I think he grabbed the coke and threw it up in the air, and everybody shot at it. He ends up leaving. Clarence is not dead, so they end up leaving with the money. And then the movie ends with an epilogue from Alabama, just like it started. And she says that Clarence always asks her what would she have done if the bullet had been, over a couple more inches and hit his brain. And her answer is funny. Go look at her answer is beautiful. Go look it up. She smiles like she can't, like no answer is ever gonna satisfy him. But then she says, I wouldn't have named our son Elvis. So it shows them on a tropical island with all three of them and their son. It is a fantastic movie. You need to go watch it. again, like I said, movie reviews in about 10 minutes. Movie reviews, 10-minute reviews. Working on the title. JD's Movie Reviews. You let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Let me know what movie you want me to watch and, talk about, and I will do such. Can't wait for October. October will be, each week will be a movie review from the top 4 horror movies of all time. Mine. So, look for that in October. That being said, much love. JD, out.